Baseball's Hall of Fame elected, at least the writers did, 3 members, new members. The voting was announced yesterday. They will be inducted into the summer in Cooperstown. There's actually more than just those 3, CC Sabathia, Billy Wagner, and Ichiro Suzuki, as Dick Allen and Dave Parker both got in, voted by the Classic Baseball Era Committee, which is like the ultimate safety net. I'm actually a fan of both of those players getting in the Hall of Fame as well. We'll find out. I don't know if we can get to all these players. John Manuel, my friend, Pro Scout Minnesota Twins, is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. Is that cool? I just told everybody that you work for the Twins. Is that all right?
Oh, yeah. No, it's good. You didn't say Pirates, so yeah, that's good.
I mean, real quick, before we get to that, shouldn't the Pirates have just, if they really want the card, just buy the card?
That's a weird situation. That's all I could say. I can't talk about other organizations.
Right.
I scout the Pirates every spring training, so I look forward to seeing them again this spring.
All right, let's just.
Hey, Dave Parker, Mr. Pirate for you and me. I mean, 1970s Cobra. I love Dave Parker finally getting in the Hall of Fame. It's good.
I mean, to me, he was one of the best players of that era. It wasn't an era where everybody hit 50 home runs. Not everybody hits 50 home runs, but where it wasn't everybody hitting 35 to 45 home runs. I mean, this guy, look, he stole. My favorite player as a kid growing up was Lee Mazzilli of the Mets. He stole Lee Mazzilli's All-Star Game MVP because he threw 2 guys out at the plate. I mean, Lee Mazzilli hit the game-tying, right? He hit the game-tying home run off of Jim Kern. Oh, yeah. I was a Maz guy. Oh, my gosh, the kid from Brooklyn. He was amazing.
I was a Jim Kern guy because Jim Kern looked so ugly in all his baseball cards, bringing it back to baseball cards. But I loved Jim Rice growing up, and Jim Rice and Dave Parker to me were very similar players. And Jim Rice, one thing about playing for the Pirates versus playing for a bigger name organization is that the Red Sox put the full weight of the Boston media and the Boston Red Sox organization behind getting Jim Rice into the Hall of Fame. And he got in his last year of eligibility, which back then was 15 years. Dave Parker had a falling out in Pittsburgh. There was a cocaine trial. He wound up in Cincinnati, reinventing himself in Cincinnati. He was on the McGuire-Canseco Athletics late in his career. Mm-hmm. He played for the Brewers and the Angels. So, and I think you see some similarities. I think this happens a lot in Hall of Fame voting. The guys who play with one team, those teams get behind those players. You know, the Mariners pushed Ichiro. They didn't have to push him. I think the fact that Sabathia was left Cleveland like on kind of good terms. Same thing, like Milwaukee had him for a hot minute, but boy, the Brewers love him for what he did. And then the Yankees, he had a lot of organizations pushing him. I think players who bounce around, they don't get that same benefit. They don't get that same push a lot of time in the voting. I think it hurts some of these players, like a Bob Abreu. I think it hurts him that nobody pushes him. I think it also hurts him that he wasn't good enough. That's my opinion, but
right.
I do think all stat, not talent player.
I think there was talent there. Obviously, he's a great player, but not quite Hall of Famer.
Not quite Hall of Fame talent. That's how I should put it.
I do think that in the next year, 2 years, definitely, you'll see Carlos Beltran, who was close. He got 70% of the vote. I think you'll see him get in, and I do believe Andrew Jones, Braves. I mean, best defensive center fielder I think that has ever played, and he hit tons of home runs. I think he's going to go in. All right, let me get to this. CC Sabathia, 250 wins, Cy Young, great teammate, 3,000 strikeouts. He hits just about every one of the important numbers. Not to mention great teammates, solid human being, Hall of Famer. Billy Wagner, one of the greatest closers in the history of the game. Tons of strikeouts, didn't have a great number of innings, and the threshold for relievers is different, but I'm not going to argue about whether or not he goes in the Hall of Fame. Here's what I don't get. We've already got Mariano Rivera as a unanimous Hall of Famer. So we've already crossed the Rubicon. For years, people would go, well, Babe Ruth was a unanimous Hall of Famer. Like, okay, I get it. But Mariano Rivera was. So now that we've done that, why can't people just go, is he a Hall of Famer? Yep, vote for him. I don't know how you get to vote if Ichiro doesn't get your vote.
It is inexplicable to me that we haven't had a position player become unanimous. That once Rivera broke that threshold, that Jeter and Ichiro both fell one vote short. That is hard to explain. I actually argued with Buster Olney about this on Twitter today about the unanimous thing. Like, I don't understand. I don't understand why Buster gets his. It really bothers him. I see that it gets you a little bit too. I guess my critique is more of the Hall of Fame, because the BBWAA, which I was briefly a member, I think I was a member for 2 years, they've tried to make that every vote is public. It's the Hall of Fame that blocked it. It's the Hall of Fame that blocked it, not the Baseball Writers Association. There's more transparency to the Baseball Hall of Fame than there are to any of the other Halls of Fame that I know of anyway.
Right.
Maybe it's different in hockey. I don't know. That's a black box to me. But I've been to the Hockey Hall of Fame, but I don't know their process. Great old bank building in downtown Toronto if people haven't been. But to me, the Baseball Hall of Fame is more transparent than most things. And I guess my explanation is there are 400 people on this. And right now, you can't get 400 people to vote that it snowed today, to agree that it snowed today. Some of them are going to say, oh, that's not snow. You can't get 400 people to agree that the earth is round. So the fact that you're trying to get 400 people to agree that a guy with a 107 OPS plus, like Ichiro had, who hit 117 home runs and was a right fielder, it doesn't make me crazy that somebody might have said, you know what, I'm not going to vote for him. I think that person's stupid and wrong, but it's just hard to get 400 people to agree to anything, So it doesn't set me off like it sets off some people from the Hall of Fame. I think it's really cool that he got 99.7% of the vote. I mean, I don't know who gets 99.7% of anything,
Well, that is okay.
That's how I view it.
That is super rational. I'm not sure that there's any room for that in talk radio, John Manuel.
Exactly. That's why I'm out of the
business. But I mean, the dude came to Major League Baseball at age 27 and amassed over 3,000 hits. That is, and to me, those are the stats. The 3,000 hits, like, we're going to have players over time eclipse Barry Bonds' home run record. We just will. But to get 3,000 hits, the way the game is being played today, where everybody's trying to hit home runs or walk, and the strikeout is like, whatever. At least it's not a double play. Like, I wish the pendulum would swing back to the way the game was when I grew up, where, man, if you hit 40 home runs, you won the league. You won the home run title that year if you hit 40. And now guys are, routinely hitting 45, 50 home runs. But that's just the way the game is taught, the way the analytics tell us. But the 3,000 hits starting at the age of 27? That is insanity to me.
It's the Hall of Fame. It's not the Hall of Efficiency. This guy was the most famous baseball player, arguably, on two sides of the Pacific Ocean, which last I checked was the world's largest ocean. So that's number one. The two greatest baseball playing countries in the world are the United States and Japan. And he was among the best players in both. He's in the Japan Hall of Fame. Now he's in the National Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown. The fame part and the fun part, those are the two things that I think of with Ichiro. The other thing that I think of with Ichiro is just passion. My carrying tool in life has been my passion for lots of different things. But in this job, it's been for baseball. I just love the sport. It's ridiculous. I think about it all the time. I'm obsessed. Ichiro is the same way, only with actual playing talent. He's still obsessed with the game, and I just love that about him so much. The fact that one voter did not appreciate that is almost what I lament the most. Not that he didn't appreciate 3,000 hits or that he or she wanted to just be a curmudgeon and not vote for someone the first time, or maybe they forgot. Maybe they were like looking for him under I instead of under S because Ichiro Suzuki and missed him on the ballot. That's possible too. That's the thing. I read that of the 5 people who didn't vote for Tom Seaver, one just never voted for anybody first ballot. Somebody had a heart attack and didn't get their ballot on in time, and 3 people missed him on the ballot. So it's like it could just be an accident. But I do, it's the baseball writers who really push for the transparency here. So, but I think it's why people care so much about the Baseball Hall of Fame. I do love that baseball fans remain obsessed, passionate about the Hall of Fame, even with all the difficulties of the shifting standards of our game. The fact that a player like Luis Ariz, who's kind of like the modern Ichiro, at least in terms of hitting, we can't even agree how good he is. I can't talk about active players, but I mean, like, we can't even agree on how good a 3-time batting champion is anymore. So the game is changing, and Ichiro was a special skill set who also was a spectacular defensive player. All those things made him so fun. So if you couldn't appreciate Ichiro in his time, then you just didn't like baseball. Like the guy says for the Sacramento Kings, if you don't like that, you don't like NBA basketball. I mean, if you didn't like Ichiro, you just don't love baseball. I mean, you don't even like it. So he got the sport like very few people ever have.
All right, real quick, was he unanimous in the Japanese Baseball Hall of Fame?
I doubt it. But I think if you didn't vote for him there, you had to commit seppuku. I think that, if you
Sadahara right? If Sadahara wasn't unanimous, right?
You would imagine
people
that
were like,
he was.
Who the heck did Adam
unanimous.
just reference Sadahara who was the world home run leader, right?
He was, and my favorite reference of him is 868 home runs, if I remember correctly, and I usually do.
Yeah.
But is at the end of Spinal Tap, where Nigel Tufnell, lead guitar player for Spinal Tap, is when they're on tour in Japan, he's wearing an O jersey, which is a chef's kiss touch at the end of a perfect movie like Spinal Tap.
That is
this is a great ending for a gay guest spot.
It is.
It's a great way to end it.
And on that note, it's a walk-off. You make your last shot. It's time to walk off the court. John Manuel, at John Manuel NC on Twitter, Pro Scout Minnesota Twins. Thank you very much for the time, man. I'll talk to you again very soon.
Domo arigato.